everyone. Thursday night, 9 o'clock. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Well, I was hoping to have a full show for you, but of course, New Zealand NPC Bunnings, or the Bunnings NPC, has unfortunately been called off due to lockdown. And so we've only got a few games of rugby to talk about this weekend. We'll talk, of course, about Argentina against South Africa. I say Argentina first because it's officially their home game, even though they're playing it in Port Elizabeth. And we'll talk about the 3 Currie Cup matches and probably touch on the Rugby Championship game between Australia and New Zealand next week. But let's start off by introducing you to the panel. And let's start at the top there. It looks like it's a Bok beanie he's got on. Henrik Swart. Is it a Bok? No, not a Bok. Yes, it is. It's a Bok beanie. Henrik, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brent. Yeah, sorry, the angle is a bit weird on my computer probably. But yeah, it's a Bok one. It's cold down here in Cape Town. We've had a bit of rain this week and yeah, just warming up a bit. Last weekend, I didn't bet on a lot of rugby and didn't watch a lot of rugby either. I went fishing. So yeah, this weekend I haven't got any plans, and now the NPC has been binned for the weekend. So that's quite a bummer because yeah, I love the NPC and I do quite all right with it normally. So yeah, but we have to focus on the Currie Cup. I've struggled with the Currie Cup this year. I don't know what it is, but I can't call it. So I've kind of stopped betting on the Currie Cup. But yeah, with the little rugby we have, I'll probably make a comeback this weekend.
Well, I know you're known as an unders punter, and this definitely hasn't been an unders Currie Cup so far. So can imagine with the inclination to go unders, you're in trouble. You're in a bit of trouble. I know Brendan O'Connell will be as well. And let's go down below there. The man, he's looking pretty. He's got a bit of a beard there, but he's really looking pretty good, clean cut. Maybe he's going for a job interview or something. The conductor, good to see you, mate.
Thanks, Brenty. Yeah, always lucky to join you, boys. I'm trying to clean up my act a little bit. I have showered in the last 3 days, so it's looking better. It's looking better and better from here. No, yeah, Brent, a pity about the NPC. You know, like we discussed, absolute madness in the world we're living in. You get one case in an entire country of 6 million people, and you basically lock down the entire country. It must be absolutely maddening to live there. To close everything for one throat tickle. So it is unfortunate the world we live in. So yeah, I mean, when I heard that the NPC was cancelled on Tuesday morning, we made the decision that if we made some money on the Currie Cup yesterday, we were going to go away for the weekend, which luckily we did. The Bulls times Western Province double came in. So this morning we booked a bush weekend away. So we're going to be away this weekend. So because I know myself all too well, with so little rugby on, I'm going to end up betting on Pakistan cricket and, sort of Saturday night crying into my whiskey glass about how I lost so much money on the Pumas and the Lions and Baba Azam and so I thought rather it's cheaper just to go away for the weekend. So I'll have a small interest, but I'm not going to be going big on the rugby this weekend.
Yeah, fair enough. Not a bad strategy there. Just to welcome all the guys. I brought up some of the comments already joining us in the live chat. As always, great to have your contributions. Look forward to hearing what your best bets are for the weekend. But we're going to get into the Rugby Championship straight away. But before we get into the Bok game and conductor, I'll start with you. I've got the outright betting scrolling below there. Now we've got New Zealand at 9-20, South Africa 21-10, and then Australia and Argentina both 25-1. Now, I know, to the best of my knowledge, it hasn't actually been finalized where all of these games are being played yet. I've seen reports on Twitter about possibly playing in Europe. So, Keith, for me, New Zealand, way too short there at 9-20.
Yeah, Brent, I got to agree with that. I mean, yeah, they've looked okay I don't know. They looked okay at home at Eden Park in their strongest ground, but the All Black pack to me is by no means formidable. I agree with you. That's a very, very short price. I think Henrik mentioned it last week or the week before. At Palace Bet, you can get a lovely bet boost, 4-1 for the Boks to win the Rugby Championship. That to me is great value.
That's not only for new customers. For
existing as well. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good offer.
I'd get on that. Look, it's capped, but it's still. If for guys that aren't, I'm not normally an outright punter. I don't like to invest money for such lengthy periods of time. But you can't ignore 4-1 value, especially the way we're playing at the moment. And
But
if you look,
it's a 2-horse race if you look at the betting, really.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you're getting
100%.
4-1 in a 2-horse race where, admittedly, South Africa may not be the favourite, but hell, 4-1 is a great price.
Brent, 100% agree with you. And if you look at the fact that we don't know where the games are going to be played, they might not be played in New Zealand, and if it's played in Australia or like you said, potentially in Europe, man, it's an even playing ground. That's really, really good for the box. So that should take the box to at least 15-10. I mean, 4-1 if you can get on the box, that's superb value. So I've seen enough of the New Zealand to take the box outright. I really like that, but I wouldn't be touching New Zealand or Australia or Argentina. I'd rather stay out of the bets if I'm not going to back the box. Our defense
you
at the
won't be
moment,
9-20.
our defense at the moment is just a thing of absolute beauty. Jacques Nienaber, I mean, you could see what he did with the Stormers when he was at the Stormers. Their defense was like the Berlin Wall; couldn't get through. At Munster was superb, and now he's brought it over to the box. I mean, I think like you guys were mentioning on the show a couple of weeks ago, it's like the binary code 010101 for tries conceded in the last sort of 4 or 5 games, and again against Argentina. I mean, if you look at the guys that we put, you got like guys like Frans Steyn, Apelele Fassi. I thought there'd probably be weaknesses in the background, but there was just no gaps to be found. It just seems that the Boks have just so much confidence in each other, in the defensive system. And when a team is playing like that, it doesn't matter who you put in the team. They all play with that same structure. And I read a good comment, and it's very true. Boks are doing what Steve Hansen did a couple of years ago, is that they're putting 1 or 2 new guys in with very experienced guys. So, their confidence levels are high. A new guy like Fassi coming in, and little Alton Yankees chip kicks over. He's got so much confidence to run onto it. So you can see he doesn't look nervous. He really looked confident coming on. And sure, what a difference, that makes going forward with depth. I mean, if you look at a guy like Jasper Wiese, I mean, he was playing for Leicester Tigers. He wasn't even going to get a sniff of the Boks, and suddenly he's a superb choice at 8th man going forward for the Rugby Championship. So, for outrights, it's difficult to overlook the Boks, but going into Saturday, I see you can still get -12.5 on the Boks.
You can get 12.5. I got this at WSB, but I had a look. Sunbet, I know, for example, -12.5. So you've got a bit of a choice here on the handicap. I see Southpaw in the Good for the Game forum. He's gone for the Boks -12.5.
I mean, it's difficult to. I mean, I see Mario Ledesma has made absolute heap of changes. I think it's only the centre pairing, the front row, and I think 2 of the loose forwards that remain the same. You've got a sevens player who's making his debut at wing, and then another sevens player on the bench. I'm not a big Miotti fan. I always think of him as Courage the Cowardly Dog. He's just not aggressive enough for me to take on tacklers and to stay on the line at a 10. He's not physical enough for me. So it's difficult to overlook the -12.5 here. The Boks, and what gives me more confidence on the minus is not so much the Boks attack, but the Boks defense, because they just don't leak many points. So unless Pumas are going to sink threes, and they might get a try, but they're not. They probably shouldn't put 2 or 3 past the Boks defense. And with Jacques and Rassi going back to our main side, it's I think the odds are in for a long day there.
Yeah, the -12.5, I must admit, appeals to me as well. I was also, like many, not so confident last week, although I did like the Boks when it reached the sort of -6.5 levels. But Henrik, I'll get your opinion on the outright as well, but perhaps let's start with you talking about this game. The Springboks defense is something everyone's talking about, and I guess that also pumps up the team. In other words, you run out there tomorrow, you don't want to, or on Saturday, you don't want to concede 3 or 4 tries. You want to keep that record intact. And personally, I think it's going to be another low-scoring game for the opponents.
Yeah, Brent. Last week it wasn't even the best. It was the dead trackers basically for the Boks playing, in Argentina couldn't score a try. So this is the as close as it comes to the number 1 backline for the Boks. So they know each other. They know how to play. They've got the defensive system. So I can't see Argentina scoring a lot. I'd be interested. Brent, what do you think Argentina's points would be for this game?
I can actually tell you, because I've seen a points line at there's a points line at player bet 16.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be unders on that. So even if they score 3 penalties and the converted try, yeah, then you
Yes.
still unders with the 16. I thought anything over 14.5, I'll be on unders. Look, you probably have to go for the minus as well then, because the box with the defense and the pressure they put on teams, the points come by itself. They've got a great scrum. They get penalties from the scrum, and we know how important the scrum is in rugby. So yeah, the minus is probably the way to go. But my main bet would be unders on Argentina points here. I'm
Under
not sure
16 and a half,
where
yeah.
it is. But yeah, the under 16.5 appeals to me. Yeah, I think that's the best one. You can't go plus here. No chance you can back Argentina here. Not with the box defense, because they're not going to score points. So it's either back the minus, keep it simple, back the minus, or go unders on Argentina points. I'm a bit weary of going overs on box points. So yeah,
Yes.
you can't. I won't go any over type of bet on this game. You can't go overs on total points with the box defense as well.
I've learned that the hard way, Henrik, excuse me, in the last few weeks. Last week I was on over 4.5 tries. It was a last-minute decision. I got, I think, 11 to 10, and I flew into it. I was chasing a bit last Saturday. And the box scored those 2 tries early, and I thought, this is it. Now the game's going to open up.
Yeah.
And none of that, boy. To kick for posts, up and unders. It didn't open up at all. And in the end, I think there was a third try near the end, but that was it. One thing I will say, which also lends itself to the minus, is the bonus point rule. Now, last week, the commentators actually thought the box, and including Mornay Steyn, thought the box were chasing a bonus point. In fact, that misconversion of Mornay Steyn's cost a lot of people the over 44.5, I think it was, or over 45.5 points. But in actual fact, they got the bonus point because you got to score 3 more tries in the opposition. And Brendan, I mean, that suits the box down to the ground, because that's right up their alley. They don't concede tries, and they only have to score 3.
Yeah, absolutely, Brent. And I think that lends itself again towards the unders, because once they get those, say 3 tries, they don't necessarily, they may get the 4th, but they're not going to push on like New Zealand and score 45-50. They'll shut the game down. And I mean, I think it is vital that they get that bonus point going over to wherever they're going to play the rest of the games, be it Australasia or Europe. That's going to be like gold. If it comes down to that, that odd points, that once again, that 12.5 just seems so low. If they get those 3 tries and then keep Argentina scoreless. But Argentina, I mean, they cost me an absolute packet last week. I really had them in so many multis at big multi, plus 18.5, plus 19.5. I really thought with their first string lineup, I thought they'd be fired up for the game. But man alive, it maybe they were just undercooked last week, and just there was no passion from them. And like you say, I also took a bit of overs after those first 2 tries. I thought really it was going to open up, and then obviously a bit of the Trojan horse there, sold a bit of a dummy, and it closed completely up. So yeah, I read it poorly last week, but this week it's the reverse. It's a weaker Argentina team versus the stronger Bok team. So yeah, for me, I probably wouldn't look at points. I'd just look at the minus 12.5 straight.
Yeah, well, the handicap's moving in a very different direction to last week. Last week it opened around 12.5, and there was 6.5 available by kickoff. So the money came for Argentina. Now I can see that the money is coming for South Africa, and look, judging by the reaction on the show, I see Sean Nicholas also popping in, saying box minus all the way. So definitely going to be money there for the Argentines. Hendrik, before we move off this game, though, just quickly touch on the outrights. I know you've also taken some of that 4-1 South Africa, but putting that aside for the moment, would you still be getting involved on the box at 21-10?
Yeah, Brent, I love that 21-10. You know how I feel about the All Blacks under Ian Foster. I don't rate him at all. I would, as long as he coaches the All Blacks, I won't put a cent on them. It's either no bet or I back for the team playing against them. I won't touch the All Blacks. The Boks are going to beat the All Blacks in both games. It doesn't matter where they play. They can play in New Zealand. The Boks will beat them. But yeah, it looks like the games are going to be in Queensland from what I've seen. With the Argentina team announcement this afternoon, I saw a tweet from one of the Argentine journalists, and they said Mario Ledesma said at this stage it looks like they are going to Queensland. So I'm not sure where it will be hosted with all the NRL games. But even if it goes to Europe, I like the box very strong in the outright. A few weeks ago, when I started thinking about the outright for the Rugby Championship, I didn't think I'd get 2-1 on the box outright, and I opened 5-2 before the Rugby Championship started. So to get 21-10 now, that's a great price. I would anything over 15-10 on the box, I would fly into. I like that very very strong, and I'm very confident on the box winning the Rugby Championship this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with you with that analysis. 15-10 or better there, surely. Henrik, let's quickly, we won't spend too much time on this, but just a quick thought. I see Australia and New Zealand next week is priced up around the 22.5 point mark. Obviously, New Zealand favourite. They lost. Australia won the first handicap in the Bledisloe. Then last week, despite me feeling pretty good at halftime when Australia was 6 points down, they got hammered. But 22.5, any early thoughts there?
Yeah, definitely plus, Brent. I like the plus again.
I shouldn't have to ask you that with Ian Foster still as coach. Eh?
But even with just before, because the game is not going to be in New Zealand, it's not at Eden Park. They won't have the New Zealand crowd behind them. And I didn't see last week's game because I was fishing. But I watched the highlights. But from what I can understand, the Australia were in the game for like at least 50 minutes or so, and then it blew out. And New Zealand scored intercept tries and stuff like that. I think I still rate Dave Rennie as a coach, and I think he will fix it. And at a neutral venue or in Australia, especially, that plus 21, 22.5 is way too big in my opinion. And if New Zealand win the game, I can't see them winning by more than 2 converted tries, and I actually give Australia a good chance of upsetting them.
Sounds as though you and I will be singing off the same hymn sheet next week there, Henrik. We'll go now to the conductor to get his opinion. But just to sum up last week's game, I sum it up. Australia made 3 mistakes in the first half. They conceded 3 tries. And then for me, the big moment, Brendan, 46 minutes gone. New Zealand go down to 14 men. You've dominated a scrum to score at the end of the first half. What do? They kick for the corner, and even worse, they throw it in skew to the lineup. And from there, New Zealand just broke clear. But for me, I'm not saying they would have won the game, but gee whiz, what a crazy period of play. You got to take your chances when you get them against New Zealand.
Yeah, Brent, that was poor decision making, hey? Being so dominant in the scrum, and then you go for the line-out option where, New Zealand will put a lot more pressure on you. But I'd rather chat about the fact that Australia were on their line. Papa Li'i goes right off his feet to kill the ball. Not even a yellow card from Pickerel. That is 1,000 times out of 1,000 times a yellow card off the field. Not even a chat, just straight to the pocket off. How is it they're allowed to get away with it so often in New Zealand, so repeatedly? That is such cynical play. And you log on to social media and everybody calls it out. Yeah, people criticize Rassie when he says, but why, guys? Why is there not consistency? If the box did that, there wouldn't have even been a flicker of doubts. It would have been straight off the field. They should have gone down to yellow at that point in any case. But that it is what it is. I didn't get too involved in that game because I always worry that beating at Eden Park is coming, and that was it. But like Henrik says, stop flipping throwing the flipping past 30 meters. You don't need a pass at 30 meters. Matt Tamua and Lolesio, what are you doing? You're throwing these massive loop passes. You don't need to. You always bring that intercept try into play. Matt Tamua did it for the Rebels like week in, week out, like clockwork. You can set your watch by the time, by the amount of times he throws intercept pass. It's ridiculous. So it was poor boss Aussie. It was just a wet game, and New Zealand loved that. They play well in those conditions, and Eden Park crowd, or basically the man and his dog that were there to watch the game, because there wasn't a crowd actually at Eden Park for that second test. And now guys are saying, the guys are losing interest in All Black rugby and blah blah blah. But poor crowd. But you're focusing on that test in Australia. I won't take the plus. I think that result at Eden Park is great for guys that want to back Aussie now. I'll take the Aussie over. I'm hoping for a 16.5, 17.5 Aussies over. in that test. In nothing. Is it Perth?
I predict you'll get a 20.5, 21.5 for Aussie over there in that test. That's my prediction. But at 16.5, I'm with you.
I'm hoping for a team. It's something in the teens, but if it starts pushing 20, I'd probably still look at it. I agree.
It's not the first time you've hoped for something in the teens and been disappointed, I can tell you.
That was never proven, Graham. No, so no, and I think they probably might have James O'Connor back as well for that third one. So that makes a big difference from Lolesio, far more composed, etc., and a better goal kicker. I'd probably take the overs there for Australia. New Zealand's defense is poor. I've never seen a New Zealand defense as poor. I can't recall it's been so easily broken down. I mean, if we look at that first Bledisloe test, I mean, Australians scored 3 tries in 10 minutes, 11 minutes, and that doesn't normally tend to happen against the New Zealand side.
And even Fiji got amongst the tries as well.
Yeah, that's it.
I agree with you. The New Zealand defense doesn't have its same. No,
it doesn't have that same knot to it. I mean, it's, when you got guys like a Currie Cup, he doesn't, and people hype him up, but I don't rate him at all. I don't. And Alex had 8. I don't think it's a great. I think it's far from the best New Zealand pack they can pick. But I mean, they can't really pick anybody else, in my opinion. But it's a poor Kiwi pack, and I think they're going to concede points. So I'll go Aussies overs in that test. I'm waiting. That's why I'm not going big this weekend on Currie Cup. I'd rather keep the powder dry for that. I'm really lining up that Aussies overs there, and I'm hoping that James O'Connor, Justin Bieber will be back for that third test.
Well, I must say, according to Google Analytics, we got 3 New Zealand viewers. That's just dropped to 0 after these 2 lads have got stuck into them. No, I'm sure we got a lot more than 3. Henrik, you want to finish off on that one?
Yeah, Brent, just with Brendan saying that about the All Blacks defense and their forwards, 100% correct. And that's a big thing about my thinking about the outright, about the Boks. The Boks are going to murder them up front. They are going to kill them in the scrums. They're going to kill them in the lineouts where we always beat them. We're going to kill them at the breakdowns, at the mauls, everything. New Zealand, they're going to do nothing against us in the forwards. And in the backs, our defense, they're not going to come through us or over us with chip kicks and that sort of stuff. And we're going to score points against their flaky defense. I'm very confident of the Boks beating the All Blacks. I can't wait for the betting for those games.
Yeah, and I can't wait to find out where the games are. I just hope they take place, for goodness sake. I'm sure they will. But Henrik, let's stick with you. We're going to move on to a bit of Currie Cup there. Welcome to Be Strong. He's also expecting Aussies to put up a decent performance there. We'll move on to the Currie Cup. It's been jam-packed, Henrik. I mean, we had 3 games yesterday. Must have had quite a decent day in the end. My main bet, Western Province, -5.5 against the Lions, arriving quite comfortably. But we got the quick turnaround. It's also the time of the year, the time of the tournament. You've got to look at the table as well and have a look at what teams need in order to perhaps get to the final. So, Henrik, I'm going to start with you. First of all, I did look for some outright betting. Unfortunately, I didn't see any. I wanted to see if I could persuade you to back Western Province. But I'm not going to get that opportunity now. But let's talk Pumas against the Cheetahs. This game opened, World Sports Betting were quickly out the blocks this morning, 5-6 a pair, but they were very quick to move that price as well. It moved incredibly quickly, and we're now sitting with -3.5 the home team.
Yeah, Brent, well done. You did quite well yesterday with your previews. The Bulls let you down, but you did very good on the other 2 games. And yeah, then I thought, yes, you're doing great on the Currie Cup. And you said you like Western Province to win the title. And I thought, what are you thinking? So I don't agree with that one.
What are you thinking and what are you drinking?
Yeah, what are you drinking? Probably, yes. No, yeah. This one, it all points to the Pumas here because they played a lot of the French guys yesterday, and they actually did quite well against the Bulls. The Bulls struggled there. So obviously it looks like they're focusing on this game against the Cheetahs, and they have to win this to stay in contention for the playoffs. And when they played it other in Bloom, the game we don't like to talk about, everybody thought they would beat the Cheetahs there, and it was kind of close in the end. But yeah, surely in Elspruit, it's just Pumas. You can't go anything else. It's a concern that everybody's going to be on the Pumas, obviously. But yeah, you have to go for the Pumas on the -3.5 there. And I'm sure there will be a lot of points in this game as well. So yeah, all the Currie Cup games has points, a lot of points, but yeah, the quote will probably be close to 70 again, which is tough going overs. But yeah, I think the safe one here, go Pumas on the minus here. Yeah, although I'm concerned that everybody's going to be on it, it is the right way to go here.
Yeah, it's always worrying when you back the Pumas and they're the favourite, but I have to agree with you there. I can't really make a case against them. And I was super impressed with them in patches against the Bulls. I'd actually gone, I went for the Bulls, so I lost to that, but fortunately, last minute decision, Pumas under 26.5. And I think they didn't score a point for the last 25 minutes or something. And just a quick story on Wednesday's games as well. Aside from the over 8.5 tries I took in the Griquas game, I got a bit cold feet near the end and I went under 69.5 points. And in the end, there were 9 tries, but I managed to get my unders. It was also many a chance where the Cheetahs could have scored at the end and they didn't. So this is one of those days that went right. Let's see what Conductor thinks about this one. Pumas in Nelspruit minus 3.5. I'm assuming you may already be on them, but would you still get on board at these levels?
No, Brent, I'm not going to be touching this game. The Pumas, I cannot read them. This is like Braille to me. I sort of run my fingertips over the odds, and I just don't know what the Pumas are going to do week in, week out. I mean, I don't know if it was the Bulls just being arrogant against the Pumas in Nelspruit, but the second side ran them close. And like Henrik says, the Pumas did a big turnover, I think, to target against the Cheetahs. But man, I can never read the Pumas. Like the reverse fixture in Bloemfontein, I think everybody was on the Pumas to beat the Cheetahs, and the Cheetahs cost people a lot of money there. So I probably won't be touching this. I'll wait for the points line to come out. It's going to be an interesting experience to crack a beer at 11:45 in the morning, or a.m. because I see it's the first. So they said it's the first morning kickoff for Currie Cup in 130 years. So it's good. It's a good icebreaker. So crack a beer at 11:45, but I'll wait for the points line. I see Amy Barrett is on the whistle again, and she just tend to slow the game down because she has these 30 minutes like talking sessions about what the players must do, and sometimes she lets the clock run. So if the points line comes in and around 67, 68, I know one shouldn't, but especially against the Cheetahs, but I'd probably look at maybe a slight unders here because this game is so key for both teams. I think we might see a little bit more defense because honestly, the defense has been non-existent in this tournament, as has any sort of refereeing standards or coaching standards. So it's difficult to decide which one's worse, the coaching, refereeing, or the defense in this tournament. But I'd probably maybe look at a slight unders. Amy just tends to let the clock run. I think her game on Wednesday, she reffed the Bulls versus Pumas game, and that came in unders as well. I think the line there was 69, or you could have got 70.5, and that came in. So I'd probably look at unders if the points ridiculously high. Yeah.
Right. Well, Hendrik Swart, I'm not going to ask your opinion of Amy. I think you shared it in the live chat there. But we've been through the Pumas game with you. I'm going to move up to the next game. This is my best bet coming up now. This plus 9.5, Henrik, the Lions against the Sharks. Now, the Lions, I can tell you just looking at the log, mathematically they've got a chance, but effectively they're gone. They're going to be beat. So they've got nothing really to play for. And you've got the Sharks who, mathematically could finish top of the log, but realistically are going to finish second.
Now, Brent, again, this is all points to the Sharks here. The Lions nothing to play for. Sharks need the bonus point, I think, and they are, everything points to the minus, and then I'm concerned again because I've been burned so many times in games like this. But that's probably the right bet. I think there will be a lot of points here in this game as well. Brendan, who's the ref here? I haven't checked.
Rasta.
Oh yes, Rasta. Yeah, obviously, Rasta. He's not the king overs like
anymore.
He's just after Marius, but still overs last night at Newlands was a bit tough. So that's why there wasn't a lot of points in his game last night. But I think there will be a lot of points in this game. We discussed it a bit on the WhatsApp group, and Brendan, you predicted the points on this one. Lions 29.5, you said, and Sharks probably 38.5. So probably have to go Sharks overs there. Yeah, and
Point should.
The minus is the way to go probably. Yeah, but I'm concerned. My big bet is coming in the next game.
It's coming in the next game. Looking forward to that. Look, I do like the Sharks minus, but
my strongest fancy is in the next game.
Okay, in the next game. No, look forward to seeing what that is, because I do like the Sharks minus. I can tell you I'll also be looking at overs. Just quickly, welcome to Mark Dunphy joining us a little bit later, and then Evan coming in from Ireland. We've got quite a few Irish fans, and some of them, like Shane, probably missing the Oracle, but Shane, I can tell you, Oracle taking a bit of a break. So great to have you watching the show there, Evan. Good to that you're joining us. And let's get the conductor's opinion on this game. Are you joining us on the Sharks train, conductor?
Brent, it's going to take a brave man to back the Lions on the plus. Yeah, and I think I messaged you guys in that Lions versus Bulls game. I think when not 2 weekends back, but the previous, not the Wednesday, but I think it was maybe the Saturday or the Sunday. And I think you pointed it out. To me, the Lions have just given up. Every breakdown, they weren't even trying to jackal the ball. They were basically just standing back, waiting for the Bulls to run at them. To me, Cash Van Rooyen looks like he's lost the change room. I don't think the guys. It just got that air of the guys are waiting for the new coach to come in, so they couldn't really be bothered to try and impress the current coaching setup. To me, there's something very, very wrong at the Lions, and maybe it's got to do with Rudolph Straley and his son playing for the team. There's rumors that guys are being, there's guys being pushed in there that are not supposed to be playing, and look, and added to that, the Lions have a very bad injury list. Like Henrik says, you never really want to go against a team that's out of a tournament because they've got nothing to lose. They often will just be actually play out of their skins, and I can see that the Sharks making hard work of this game. 38-39 is a lot. I'd probably look rather at the minus. The Sharks will go for that bonus point win, and the Lions defense is just actually so poor, missing so many guys. The Sharks did have a nice midweek rest, and they'll be fresh versus the Lions team that I think have played 4 or 5 games in the last, I think it was 13, 14 days or something like that.
They've had a hell of a schedule.
Yeah. So, these Oaks bodies must be absolutely broken. So, you put all of that into the cauldron and, come up with a situation where I really think there's, I could be wrong. I've done it many times in my life, but I just think the Lions will want to get this game over and done with and just get the season done with. The season's not done. I mean, in a couple of weeks they should be playing in Europe. But I think they'll want to get this tournament over and done with. It's been a horror. It's been an absolute horror movie for them. I really thought in the beginning of the tournament they might have an actual chance at this because they're the one team that didn't lose any box to the Rugby Championship or the Lions series, but that had been actually shocking. I mean, they just look so disinterested in the game. Yeah, they're not putting in any effort in. They're waiting to be scored against, and the only way they feel they can win the game is by scoring more tries, and that's not going to happen at the moment. Their key players, I mean, Evia for unit at the back, he's not been great for me. Duncan Matthews, when he came on against the Griquas, he was phenomenal, but they've lost him as well. So, for me, I'd rather, it's between the minus 9.5 and the Sharks, probably 36, 37, 38.5. With Rasta, probably 38.5, but I'd rather still stick to the minus.
Yeah, I think the minus looks a good thing. I'm expecting this line to move perhaps even as much as out to about 11, 12.5. It will, as you say, take a very brave man indeed to back the Lions there. So, looking forward to this game, I must admit. At the moment, it's ranking as my best bet. We're going to stay with you, Brendan, because I want to save Hendrik's best bet for last. There, just welcome to Johanna C. going unders in the Pumas and overs in the Sharks game. This is Griquas up against Western Province. And Brendan, here we got Griquas plus 5.5 against Province and Kimberley.
Yeah, Brent. My gut feel again. The Griquas were very good to me in the midweek. I took them on the plus, and I took Griquas over 28.5 in play with George Whitehead at fly off. Him and Angra.
You got it right before the show.
Great little 9-10 combo, and Whitehead's kicking is absolutely Jedi dick. He's got such a good boot, and he just slots him straight from the touch. So I'd probably look at the plus 5.5, as well as it should be probably, here again. Okay, it might be getting a bit big at Kimberley. We're probably going to get a points line, I reckon, of about 64, 65, I think, in Kimberley.
That's where I'm expecting it.
Stuart Berry on the whistle. I'd probably then look rather at the Griquas plus. This to me, they are gonna die for the cause on Saturday. They are gonna put every single bone, sinew, muscle, blood, tears, everything into this game. And Western Province are not the kind of a team that'll really want to pose that to me. They have looked far better with guys like Galant, Dion Fourie, Russ is phenomenal. Who's the other guy? Ruan Null, specifically when he came back, he added so much more solidity in that midfield. But Griquas are going to be like men possessed. This is going to be their one chance to really, obviously beat Western Province and get into those playoffs for the Currie Cup. They really, that game against the Cheetahs in midweek, they put their bodies on the line and they tackle like demons. Sergel, that's Lucy, as well as
Gideon
and Gideon van der Merwe. That's it's a loose trio that will, it's the guys you really want to, like, they'll carry the banner, they'll put their bodies on the line, they don't care where their head's going to be placed in the ruck. And sometimes I think Western Province just don't really have that mongrel in them to play. So I think Province might win it, but that plus 5.5 is by far my best bet of the weekend.
Interesting. I'm going to see you, Henrik's thoughts now. Just comment. I thought Western Province, and I know conditions certainly suited them against the Lions in the sense that the Lions couldn't run at them, but I thought Province upped their defence a notch. I agree that Galant has made an absolute difference. When they took him off against the Lions, because I was on the Province Handicap, I just thought back to that Pumas game where they took him off, and then all of a sudden the Pumas came back into it. Fortunately, it wasn't the case. Henrik, give us your verdict of this game. You're strong on something.
Brent, firstly, on the Lions, Western Province Lions game last night, I think the conditions suited Western Province style at the moment, especially with their forwards. It certainly didn't suit the style the Lions play, and the Lions are pretty crap at the moment. So I think the score flattered Western Province a bit there. I'm very strong on Griquas here. I'm not even going to take the plus. I'll just take Griquas for the win there. Yeah, they're going to beat Western Province. Almost 2-1 you can get if you shop around. I'm sure you will get 19-10 or so. I'm not going to take the plus. I'm just going to take Griquas to win. Yeah, I see them winning this game. I'm very confident on that. Like Brendan said, and I agree with everything he says, they're going to be so motivated for this game, and they're going to play out of their skins. They need to win here to get into the playoffs, I think. So, I like them a lot here, and this is by far my strongest bet on the weekend, Griquas to win this game.
Well, it's going to make my Western Province to win the Currie Cup look even stranger. No, good one there, guys. I was actually looking for an opinion on this one. I must say, I was leaning to a little bit towards Province, but I hear what you guys are saying about Griquas. They're going to be certainly fired up for this one if they can win this game. I'm just having a look at next week's fixtures. We got the Griquas up against the Pumas, so that could well be, let's call it the fourth place decider, or the third and fourth place decider, somewhere around there. We've got the Bulls against the Cheetahs. Now that's an interesting one, because if the Cheetahs can beat the Pumas, the Bulls are able to pretty much rest all their players really next week if they want to. I mean, I'm not sure that they will, but you never know. The Cheetahs might have a chance, and the Sharks against Western Province. So we've got some interesting games coming up next week as well. But looking forward to some outright Currie Cup betting there. I'm sure the Bulls probably about 11-20. Gents, let's get into our best bets of the weekend. And Henrik, I think we probably covered yours just a few seconds ago, but just confirm it for us, please.
Yeah, Griquas to win the game. I'm not taking the plus, just Griquas to beat Western Province. Best bet of the weekend.
Right, Chris at the Crow Tips. You look out for his doubles on Twitter. He says Griquas aren't going to win this one. Let's go with Brendan here. Brendan, best bet.
Yeah, Brent, I very much like Griquas in the plus. I think if Province win it, they'll sneak it. Tom Sweel, his kicking. It's just wow. Backing Province is tough when he's at 10. So I really like the Griquas in the plus. I just wish we had more bookies offering try scorer bets. I would have loved to have loaded Edwin Cates to score, a couple of pars. You just don't get the bookies in SA, pricing up too many try scorer bets. And especially my cousin Jan Henrik at the Bulls, he's just on fire at the moment with the meat pars. So I like Griquas on the plus 5.5. And then my second biggest fancy would be the Springbok defense to hold the fort and to win by 13 plus versus a second string Argentina side.
Right, well, I can tell you my best bet will be out on the newsletter. Unfortunately, I didn't go that well last week. I should have listened to my panel. I went against him and unfortunately ended up losing there. But I'll be sending that out. If you haven't subscribed, you can get a link down below and subscribe to that newsletter. That brings us to the end of the show. And first of all, let me thank all the guys in the live chat. Good to have your comments. This was a shorter show than normal, but not that short when you consider we've only covered 4 games in any sort of detail, and maybe the 5th game, next week's game in Australia. But it's been a good show. I've got some firm fancies coming up this week as well. Looking forward to fire. I'm also playing poker on Saturday, which I can't wait for. Whenever I've got a weekend that I'm playing poker, I get excited. Henrik Swart, thanks very much. You're going to be in front of the TV. At least you do have a morning Saturday Currie Cup game to watch. It's no NPC, but at least you don't have to wait that long till you start your rugby.
Yeah, like Brendan said, you can crack open a beer before 12 o'clock, so that's always good. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to watching a bit of Currie Cup, and I'll probably, like he said, I'll probably venture into the cricket as well a bit, lose a bit of my rugby winnings there.
Excellent. Just goodbye to some of our viewers there as well. And Brendan, final word from you, please. From my side, I hope you have a cracking betting weekend. But final word from you.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, good luck to all the boys this weekend. Please, lads, don't go overboard on the Currie Cup. It's a very pitfall. Let's save some cash for the Aussies overs next week, and let's shout Aussie home to beat New Zealand. And let's have a good weekend, boys.
Excellent. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. We'll be back next week. Let's hope we've got a good few games to talk about there. We'll be particularly talking about the Rugby Championship match between Australia and New Zealand. Thanks to the boys in the live chat. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, lads.